I started in 2000, still going. And one thing I learned is that they spoil us. You know, they put us in positions to succeed, and that's what I want to do for our masqueraders. I want to put them in a position to succeed. I want people to watch them. I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to feel bougie, because that's how they made us feel when I was working for the last 25 years. They made me feel good.
Hi, I'm Keon Johnston. Welcome to Experience the One podcast. Today we have Jamaal Magloire, who's been in the NBA for, let's say, 25 years he's been in this league. Well, today we're not talking about NBA. Today we're going to get into his Caribbean roots, Toronto Revelers.
How you doing, Keon? Thank you for having me on your show. It's been a long time coming. I'll tell you a quick story about how me and Keon met. The Toronto Raptors during COVID, we moved to Tampa for the year. And the first person I called was a contemporary of mine named Giselle Awasi, and I asked her, I'm going to Tampa with the team for a year, and do you have anybody out in Florida that could take care of me while I was there? Well, he was the first man that she called, and the rest is history. So I'd like to thank you for taking care of me on my short stay there in Tampa for the year. I know we didn't bring you a championship to Tampa, but you ended up winning one with the NHL team that same very year in the Tampa Bay Lightning, so you got one regardless. Thank you for everything that you've done for me. I know and I follow your podcast, and I'm looking forward to you taking this to a whole nother level.
I want to say thank you, man. I wouldn't have been able to work with the Raptors organization if it wasn't for you. Yeah. So thank you. You gave me an experience to work with an NBA team.
Oh, thank you. They needed a barber at that time, and they asked me because they knew my Caribbean roots, and they knew that I knew people in Tampa, and you were the first person I called. And everybody raved about how exceptional that you cut their hair, and I'm very, very humbled that you helped us out during our year.
By the way, I want to say shout out to Giselle Awasi. She is like the glue within everybody. So shout out to Giselle.
Yeah, shout out to Giselle.
But Toronto Revelers, man, like you had me come up here for this. And Jamal's been telling me, he said, yo, you have to come to Toronto. And I've been prolonging. I said, you know what? I'm going to take that step. Let me come and see what Caribbean is about. Let me come and see Toronto Revelers. And let me tell you, it's an experience up here. It's something which I wasn't really expecting. But it's so organized. And Jamaal, man, you show, all I can say is amazing what you have out there, man.
It's a labor of love for me, Keon. I'm a Canadian. I was born in Canada, so it's red and white. And my parents are both born from Trinidad and Tobago, so it's red, white, and black. So it's this perfect natural fit that I'm able to give back to this community that has given so much to me. I have had a totally Caribbean Trinidadian upbringing from when I was small. I was raised by both of my parents. I used to get licks by both of my parents, and I attest so much of my discipline and my hard work and my ethics to my parents and the way that I was brought up, that Carnival is just part of that whole callaloo, that whole mix-up. They love calypso and calypso and soca. I grew up in a household that loved calypso and calypso and soca, and they were part of a band. They were part of this band called The Regulars 25, 35 years ago. And since then, when I got old enough to start a band myself, I just started with my parents' band. It was called Jamaal Magloire and the Regulars. And then eventually I branched out on my own. So Carnival is in my blood from watching my parents play. From day one, I remember taking the transit system to see Carnival in Toronto at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the parade wouldn't start until 10. Wow. So that's how anxious I was, even as a kid, to see and not miss what was going to come down that road that day. And then I just adopted it as I got older. I played in the NBA, and once I got to the NBA and I had a certain platform that I could work from, I started my own band and just continued doing it. I started actually in 2003. I had a guest band for 3 years. We were not competing, so I didn't have to have my kings and my queens, which are 20 feet high by 20 feet wide costumes, as a guest band. Here doing Caravana / Toronto Carnival was in 2006. So to some people, I've been doing this for over 20 years, but right now as a competing band, it's only 19 years. I'm looking forward to having a good, successful, safe year this year and making sure that year 20 is one that will be unforgettable.
Well, this is an amazing journey, man. And thank you for having me to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
I'm really honored to be here.
You are our ambassador. I would love to have you here, not only at the Tra-La-La on the road, but we also have all-inclusives that we do, both on Canada Day and the day after Toronto Carnival this year, which would be June 29th. If it's a Sunday, if I'm correct, will be Escape, which is our all-inclusive. We raise revenue for my foundation, and my foundation, we give back to kids in arts and sports. And then I do the same thing again, all-inclusive for everybody in support of my foundation the day after Carnival, which again, that we will cut a check with all of our proceeds that we make from this all-inclusive towards my foundation, which will go back to kids in art and sport. I was given an opportunity as a young kid. I remember going to my high school coach and telling him that I didn't have any money to go to basketball camp. And he took $500 out of his pocket. Back in 1994, $500 was like $1,500. So for him to be able to give me an opportunity to go to this camp in America with his own personal money, with no gain, I just feel like these are the opportunities that I was given, and I want to make sure that we pass that on to the generation below us, because sometimes it's just the opportunity. Like I ask myself all the time, what happens if coach didn't give me $500 to go to this basketball camp? These are the opportunities I was given. I made the most of it, and the reason why I have my foundation is because I need to do the same for the people that have helped me and the community that has helped me for so long.
Man, Jamaal, you know what? You want to hear something, brother? I just hear the favor of God over your life, man.
Thank you, brother.
You've been blessed, and He put people right in the exact time for you to be where you at.
Yeah.
And He's using you now to do the same.
And I ask Him every single day, use me to do your work. Use me to do your work. And I know I'm a man of many, many mistakes, and I continue to make mistakes. I try to do the right thing, but at the end of the day, I'm a human being. And I do have my challenges, but it's just everything I do is from a pure heart. I think about even Carnival and some of the inner politics that we go through with our governing body and myself. And one thing I have to say is, like, I don't have anything against the governing body of Toronto Carnival. I just want to be able to have a say and be able to use my experiences that I've had for 19 years to help them grow. Too often than not, I hear complaints about people storming the costume bands, people coming in our band or coming in all the bands in Toronto Carnival without uniform, without costume. And these are some of the things I'm trying to subside. And sometimes it may come across the wrong way, but I'm just so passionate. I promised our masqueraders to have is that it just may come off the wrong way, but I am totally for our people, the citizens of Toronto, the public, the citizens of Ontario and Canada, that sometimes it may be misconstrued, but I just want to make sure that these people get their just deserved, because they have a vested interest in this thing. They're not, I'm not asking them to do it for free. They're taking their money that they've worked for 7 days, 52 weeks, 364 days out of the year. They're taking their resources and they're trusting me and giving them a good opportunity, a good experience. And it's hard to be able to do that when the outside forces try to negate us. And I mean that by stormers, I mean that by our governing body. But again, it's nothing personal. I want to work with all hands that have interest in this carnival, and I want to make it the best thing in the world. And I'm too passionate. But I just love my culture, and I want to make sure that we don't get the raw end of the stick. And if you look at every single carnival that we've went through, I've been to every one of them. I've been to Atlanta, I've been to Orlando, and it's still the same thing within all the carnivals that we're experiencing up here. In-house fighting. I'm going to be the advocate. I'm going to be the spokesman for that. I know Atlanta has asked me to come down there many times and try and reform the system that they have there. I went to Orlando last year. They've said the same thing. And I have the same challenges in Toronto, but I'm here for our culture, and I'm here to make us be on that plateau. You know, like, why isn't soca a genre in the Grammys? I think it is now, but it took way too long. And I think Carnival comes along the same route. Like, we need to be acknowledged, we need to be put on that platform, and people need to appreciate the art and the time that it takes to go into this. Because you see the operation here tonight. You see how many hours it takes. That's only the band launch. Wait till we start making our big costumes, the ones that are 20 feet high by 20 feet wide.
Bro, if you hear your masqueraders and the people who are participants, how they talk about Toronto Revelers.
Yeah.
They said, we are the bougie ones. We So I'm laughing. I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow. He was like, yo, I'm so high. Look at our new Toronto Revelers gear.
Yeah.
Toronto Revelers set the standard for Caribana. I don't think you understand what you did for Caribana for all these other bands. I'm sorry. Yeah. But the Revelers is a whole nother level.
Yeah. I've been spoiled. I've been fortunate enough to play in the NBA and work in the NBA for 25 years. Yeah. I played in a different capacity for the last 2 years. So I started in 2000, still going. And one thing I've learned is that they spoil us. You know, they put us in positions to succeed, and that's what I want to do for our masqueraders. I want to put them in a position to succeed. I want people to watch them. I want them to feel good about themselves. I want them to feel bougie because that's how they made us feel when I was working for the last 25 years. They made me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, we go to the hotels, there's buses waiting for us, there's food when we get in, there's buses taking us to practice, there's buses taking us to the game. Why can't that be implemented with our own people, our own ethnicity, our own people that support what we do? And I just took what I've learned from the NBA and I'm trying to bring it down to the people that need it most. And it's people in the community that don't have a chance to go to an NBA game or have a chance to experience
They got massages before they go on stage. Only Toronto Revelers.
Yeah, only Toronto Revelers. I mean, we go really deep. We have activations for special needs. You know, we understand that not everybody is able to play in Carnival, but we still want them to have that experience. So we have clinics, that we have parades with special needs. We also have a mature group coming into the mix.